The War Council of the Zarn Dominion was many things, ancient, strategic, and ruthless. Above all, it was arrogant. Seated in a towering amphitheater of shifting metal and bioluminescent screens, the highest minds of the Empire reviewed footage of humanity's latest battlefield blunders. Massive projections displayed chaotic skirmishes, soldiers zigzagging unpredictably, and human battle formations that seemed to crumble, only to reform into something entirely new moments later. It was nonsense from a Zarn perspective. No discipline, no structure. General Vielek, his carapace dark with age and authority, let out a guttural chuckle. The other council members followed suit, their mandibles clicking in amusement. They called this strategy. Vielek scoffed, his clawed hand gesturing toward the images of frantic human soldiers. It is nothing more than panic with extra steps. Laughter rippled through the room. The Zarn prided themselves on calculated efficiency, every soldier a cog in a grand, unshakable war machine. The idea that these erratic, flesh-covered bipeds could challenge the Dominion was absurd. General, one of his advisors said, suppressing amusement, intelligence reports indicate humans are planning a desperate counteroffensive against our fleet. A final thrash before extinction, then. Vielek leaned forward, his compound eyes glinting. What is their so-called plan? The advisor hesitated before answering. It appears to involve a single operative. Silence. Then more laughter. One. Vielek's voice rattled through the chamber. They send one warrior to disrupt our fleet? Do they think us so fragile? Mockery turned to dismissive disinterest. If this was humanity's last move, the war was all but won. Earth's last bet, Operation Wild Joker. Jack Carter hated meetings. He slouched in his chair aboard the cram command frigate Ulysses, flipping a small coin between his fingers while the real military minds did the talking. A precision strike, Commander Ellen Reyes was saying, her voice sharp and sure. We insert Carter directly onto the enemy command ship under stealth, and from there, he sabotages their Central War network. The assembled officers, some skeptical, some intrigued, studied the mission plans glowing on the table before them. A single operative? One officer frowned. Why not a full-strike team? Because a full-strike team would never make it past their defenses. Dr. Raj Patel cut in, adjusting his glasses. One human? Maybe. The Zarn aren't expecting one. Carter snorted. They sure as hell will be when I start breaking their toys. Reyes shot him a look, but Patel chuckled. Danny O'Toole, leaning back with his boots kicked up, grinned. Honestly, I give it 10 minutes before Jack does something insane. I always do something insane, Carter shot back. Reyes sighed, which is exactly why you were chosen. She turned to the others. Carter is unpredictable. The Zarn thrive on control. We're about to drop chaos into the middle of their flagship. A murmur ran through the room. The plan was reckless, unorthodox, and frankly ridiculous. But that was exactly why it might work. Reyes folded her arms. The Zarn think we're fools. Let's show them what human foolishness can do. The team behind the madness. Later, in the dim glow of the ship's mission prep bay, Carter pulled on his gear, checking the charge on his sidearm. You know, Patel mused, adjusting the tactical display on Carter's forearm. Statistically, this mission has a 7% success rate. Damn. Carter strapped a knife to his thigh. That high. V. Lanford, the youngest of the crew, grinned. Hey, if anyone can do the impossible, it's you. Carter gave her a mock salute. That's the spirit. Reyes, leaning against the bulkhead, crossed her arms. Just stick to plan. O'Toole smirked. Let's be honest. He's not going to stick to plan. Patel sighed. Which is why I built in contingencies for his contingencies. Carter rolled his shoulders. See? Teamwork. Reyes ignored the banter, focusing on the screen displaying their target. A massive Zarn command ship, its spiked hull bristling with weaponry. The centerpiece of the Dominion fleet. If Carter pulled this off, it would throw the entire war effort into disarray. A moment of silence settled over them, the weight of what lay ahead. Then Carter broke it. Hey, after this, drinks are on me. If you survive, Reyes said dryly. When I survive, Carter corrected with a grin. I've got a reputation to uphold. Reyes exhaled, shaking her head. All right, wild joker. Let's see if you can make the universe laugh. The countdown began. Carter stepped into the drop pod, and with a roar of engines, he was gone. Jack Carter had been in bad situations before. Once, he'd been stranded behind enemy lines on Mars with nothing but a knife and a malfunctioning comm unit. Another time, he'd talked his way out of a pirate stronghold by pretending to be an intergalactic health inspector. But this was new. The moment his drop pod slammed into the underbelly of the Zarn flagship Kralek, Carter was already moving. The pod's hatch hissed open, releasing a cloud of venting coolant as he stepped onto the cold, organic metal floor of the enemy warship. A deep, pulsating hum filled the corridor, a sound that resonated in his bones, like the ship itself was alive. Bioluminescent veins pulsed along the walls, carrying alien fluids that powered the war machine. The air smelled sterile, tinged with something faintly acidic. He grinned. Showtime. Phase 1. Infiltration the Carter way. Rhea's voice crackled in his earpiece. Jack's status? Standing in the belly of the beast, he murmured, moving quickly. No welcoming party. I'm almost offended. Stay quiet and stick to plan, Rhea said. Yeah. The plan had been simple. Enter through a maintenance shaft, stay out of sight, sabotage key systems. But Carter had never been one for subtlety. Instead of slinking through air vents like some covert agent, he did something no one, human or alien, would expect. He walked right through the halls like he belonged there. With his stolen Zarn uniform, courtesy of a dead officer from a prior skirmish, he adjusted the stiff, high-collared garment and strolled into the nearest corridor with an air of casual authority. Zarn warriors passed him without a second glance. They were used to regimented squads, rigid formations. No one expected an intruder to just walk in. Jack, what the hell are you doing? Reyes hissed. Blending in, he replied. Patel's voice joined in. I hate that this is working. Admit it, O'Toole chuckled. It's kind of brilliant. It's reckless, Reyes snapped. Carter smirked. Same thing. Phase 2, sabotage and a little theatrics. The first objective was the ship's data relay, a nerve center that connected the flagship to the rest of the Dominion fleet. Disrupt that, and their entire coordination would crumble. Carter reached a security checkpoint where 2 Zarn guards stood watch. They were massive, armored in thick, chitinous plating. Their multi-jointed arms twitched at their sides. Carter didn't slow down. He strode right up to them, tilting his chin like he had somewhere more important to be. One guard stepped forward, mandibles clicking. State your authorization. Carter exhaled sharply, rolling his eyes. Oh, perfect. Another security sweep? Do you have any idea how behind schedule we are? The guards exchanged a look. Carter pressed on. I was just on VLX War Council. Do you want to be the ones explaining to him why I'm late? That did it. The mere mention of the High General's name made both guards stiffen. The Zarn hierarchy was strict, and no one wanted to risk angering their superiors. The lead guard hesitated, then stepped aside. Carter gave a theatrical sigh. Finally, he marched past them and into the relay room. The moment the doors shut, he got to work. Meanwhile, in the war room, the Zarn command officers aboard Kralek were growing uneasy. Their battle network was experiencing anomalies, minor glitches in fleet-wide communications, delays in targeting systems. General Vielek narrowed his compound eyes. Explain. A technician fidgeted. It appears that a portion of our data network has been compromised. Vielek's mandibles twitched in irritation. By what? We are not sure, General. Across the chamber, another officer scoffed. This is human sabotage. The fools are desperate. Vielek leaned forward. Then find the source and crush it. Phase 3. Improvisation, because the plan just exploded. Back in the relay room, Carter was grinning as he uploaded Patel's virus into the Zarn systems. All right, Raj, tell me something good. Virus is spreading. Give it another 60 seconds, and their battle net is toast. Carter exhaled, rolling his shoulders. Too easy. Right then, the door behind him slammed open. A squad of Zarn warriors stormed in, weapons raised. Carter sighed. I knew I shouldn't have said that. He dove sideways as plasma fire scorched the air where he'd just been standing, rolling behind control panel. He yanked his pistol free and fired twice, each shot hitting the control console, sending arcs of blue electricity sparking through the room. The ship lurched. Lights flickered. The virus spread faster, corrupting the ship's neural pathways. Jack, what's happening? Reyes demanded. I may have accelerated the plan. O'Toole laughed. That's my guy. The Zarn warriors advanced. Carter, pinned down, tapped into his earpiece. Raj, how do I manually shut this room down? Bottom console. Red panel. Carter peeked out, right in the line of fire. He swore, then grinning. He activated his helmet speakers and shouted in a commanding voice. Evacuate! Intruder has planted a self-destruct charge. The Zarn warriors hesitated. Confusion. And that was all Carter needed. He vaulted over the console, slid across the floor, and slammed his fist onto the red panel. The ship shook. The relay station shut down. Across the fleet, the Dominion's coordination collapsed. And Carter? He grabbed a fallen Zarn's rifle, shot out the lights, and vanished into the darkness. The Zarn realization. General Vielek's war room erupted into chaos. Officers scrambled as reports flooded in. Communications failing, targeting systems crashing, entire fleets losing cohesion. A lone technician, pale and trembling, looked up from his console. General, his voice was barely above a whisper. It's him, the human. Vielek's claws dug into the armrest of his throne. One human. The realization was slow, horrifying. They had mocked humanity's chaos, their unpredictability. And now they were losing because of it. Jack Carter had done a lot of crazy things in his career, but single-handedly dismantling an alien battle network in the middle of a war flagship, that was a new one. And, unfortunately, it wasn't over yet. The chase begins. The moment the relay station went down, the ship lurched. The bioluminescent veins pulsing along the walls flickered, dimming as the neural network collapsed. Across the fleet, Zarn officers panicked as their once flawless coordination vanished. Carter, crouched in the darkness, allowed himself a small smirk. Then the emergency klaxons blared. Right. Time to go. Jack, you still breathing? Rhea's voice crackled in his ear. Barely, he whispered, pressing his back against the wall as armored footsteps stormed past his hiding spot. Pretty sure I made them mad. You think? Patel's voice chimed in. Their entire war network is in chaos. You just turned their perfect machine into a blind, flailing toddler. Yeah, but now they know I'm here, so... Carter glanced down the corridor. Options. Need options. Then he spotted it. A service hatch leading to the ship's ventilation system. Carter grimaced. Damn it. I hate vents. Less complaining, more escaping. Reyes snapped. With a sigh, he hoisted himself up and crawled inside just as a squad of Zarn warriors burst into the corridor below. Through the grates, he heard their frantic clicks and hisses. Find the human. Tear this place apart if you have to. A growing problem. Carter moved quickly through the vents, wincing as they creaked under his weight. He needed to get to the extraction point fast. Unfortunately, Patel had other news. Jack, bad news. Bigger than entire warship hunting me bad? Possibly. Carter sighed. Go on. The virus is working too well. The ship's AI is shutting down, and with it, the reactor stabilizers. A pause. You're telling me I accidentally set the ship to self-destruct? Yes. Reyes' voice cut in. Jack, we need you out now. No argument here. But as he reached the next junction, his stomach dropped. A new squad of Zarn warriors was moving below him, heavily armed, clearly smarter than the first. They were scanning the vents, looking for him. And behind them, standing nearly 8 feet tall, was someone Carter really didn't want to see. General Vielek. A new challenger appears. Human. The voice was deep, resonant, almost amused. Carter didn't breathe. Vielek tilted his head, compound eyes sweeping the corridor. You are an anomaly. Your kind should not be a threat. And yet, here you are. A single, fragile creature, disrupting an empire. Carter smirked. Yeah, I tend to have that effect. VALX's mandibles twitched. I know you are listening. I know you are near. A sharp noise rang through the hall. Carter's heart stopped. VALX had raked his claws against the vent above him, sending an ear-splitting shriek through the metal. Carter's earpiece buzzed as Reyes whispered, "Jack, move." Too late. The vent beneath him collapsed. He hit the ground in a roll, springing to his feet just in time to face a ring of plasma rifles, all aimed at him. Well, Carter exhaled. This is bad. The wild card play. VALX stepped forward, looming over him. You are alone, unarmed, and your foolish sabotage will destroy you with us. Carter held up a finger. Technically, I'm not unarmed. In one swift motion, he reached into his belt, grabbed something, and tossed it straight at VALX's face. It wasn't a grenade. It wasn't a weapon. It was a flash drive. VALX's mandibles clicked in confusion as the tiny object bounced harmlessly off his armored chest and clattered to the floor. Silence. One of the Zarn warriors turned to his commander. What was that? Carter grinned. Misdirection. Before they could react, he bolted. He dove past the nearest soldier, grabbed the barrel of the plasma rifle, and yanked, causing the shot to go wild. In the same motion, he spun, kicking another Zarn square in the chest. Chaos. The squad scrambled, momentarily disoriented, and Carter took full advantage, ducking, weaving, running. Jack, what the hell did you just do? Reyes shouted. I improvise. Plasma bolts scorched the air as he sprinted for the exit, heart pounding. VALX roared. Stop him. The extraction gambit. Carter slid into the docking bay just as O'Toole's stolen Zarn shuttle screamed into position. The bay doors were already starting to seal. The ship's AI, dying confused, was shutting everything down. No, no, no. Carter pushed his legs harder. Jack! O'Toole's voice was barely audible over the roaring engines. Carter leapt. For a brief moment, he was weightless. Then, impact. He slammed onto the shuttle's ramp, arms scrambling for a hold. O'Toole reached out, grabbed him, and hauled him inside as the shuttle rocketed out of the bay. The warship behind them flickered, then erupted, a chain reaction tearing through its hull. Carter lay on the floor, panting. O'Toole grinned. You always make things interesting. Reyes' voice cut in. Carter's status? He sat up, wiping soot from his face. Reyes, remind me to never do that again. She exhaled, half in relief, half in exasperation. No promises. Patel chuckled. Well, Jack, congratulations. You've officially made the Zarn rethink their entire war strategy. Carter smirked. Damn right I did. Mission accomplished. Jack Carter had pulled off a lot of stunts in his time, but blowing up a Zarn flagship and escaping in one piece? That one was going down in the history books. The shuttle rocketed through space, the shockwave of the Krallich's destruction still rippling behind them. Carter leaned against the wall of the cabin, trying to catch his breath as O'Toole expertly piloted them toward the extraction point. Reyes' voice crackled over the comms. Jack, you good? Carter exhaled, staring at the stars outside. Oh, just survived an entire warship trying to kill me. No big deal. Patel snorted. You do realize the Zarn will never be the same after this, right? Carter grinned. That's the idea. Aftermath of chaos. Back aboard the fleet's command vessel, the Sovereign's Edge, the team debriefed in the war room. A massive holo display flickered with the latest intelligence. Across the galaxy, Zarn forces were scrambling, disorganized, leaderless. Reyes stood at the head of the table, arms crossed. The virus did more than shut down their flagship. It sent ripples through their entire war network. Coordination is collapsing across multiple fronts. Patel grinned. Translation: we turned their perfect strategy into a cosmic joke. O'Toole chuckled, and we got a front row seat. Carter leaned back in his chair, propping his boots on the table. So what you're saying is we just made history? Reyes sighed. I hate that I have to say this, but yes. Patel tapped a few keys, pulling up intercepted Zarn transmissions. One message, in particular, stood out. Directive from High Command. Human unpredictability is now considered an extreme threat. Adaptation required. Carter smirked. They finally get it. The Zarn's response. Far across the stars, in a war council chamber darkened by failure, General Valek stood before his remaining officers. A single human had done this. Their once perfect war doctrine, years of careful planning, flawless coordination, was in shambles because of one unpredictable, illogical, chaotic being. Valek's claws tightened. The Zarn had always believed themselves superior, their strategies infallible. But now, they face a horrifying realization. Humanity did not fight like them. Humans didn't follow rigid, predictable patterns. They adapted, improvised. They turned disasters into opportunities. And worse, they enjoyed it. Valek's mandibles twitched. This could not be ignored. Begin recalculations, he ordered, voice tight. Study their methods. Learn from their chaos. He turned to the holo display, where Carter's image flickered, a still frame of the human smirking in the face of impossible odds. And find me him. A new kind of war. Back on the Sovereign's edge, the team stood on the observation deck, watching the distant remains of the Zarn fleet drifting into disarray. O'Toole nudged Carter. So, how's it feel knowing you just gave an entire alien species an identity crisis? Carter shrugged. Honestly, feels great. Reyes shook her head. They won't make the same mistakes again. They'll adapt. Good. Carter's grin didn't fade. That just means we'll have to get more creative. Patel chuckled. Now that's a terrifying thought. Carter looked out at the stars, hands in his pockets. The war wasn't over. But for the first time, the Zarn understood what they were dealing with. Humanity wasn't the weak, primitive species they thought. They were the wild card. And no strategy in the universe could prepare for that.